Hi, welcome to War and Pieces. Today we're going to be covering a game that is very, very popular, but also very easy to play. Its simplicity has really just made a lot of people get into wargaming, and that game is Conflict of Heroes: Awakening the Bear, 2nd edition. Now, this covers Operation Barbarossa in 1941, and it is a great period piece. So let's go down to the table and let's take a look. Okay, so here we are with Awakening the Bear, Conflict of Heroes. This is one of the best systems that you will ever see. The game is broken into rounds, and it depends on the scenario. And you win with victory points. Now, each side is given, depending on the scenario, a bunch of command action points. Those can be used at any time, but each unit is only given, depending on the scenario of course, but for the most part 7 units. And what happens with these action points is you use them all up, but you go back and forth. So I'll show you how this all works in a second, but once that goes to 0 and you can't do anything with that particular unit anymore, then you would move on to the next unit, which would have, of course, 7 action points. To give it additional actions, if you wanted to use more than 7 points, you would use your command points. Those do not come back when you go to another unit. Now, the neat thing about this, it's very, very simple and it's very easy to understand. And we'll actually take a look at the map over there and explain a lot of this. Now, on each turn, you get an action. And what an action is, it's either you fire or you move. Once you do one of those, or you can even stall, you can make a delay action, and that would cost you 1 AP to stall, which basically means a player may want to delay making a decision by stalling. Stalling takes up his turn and costs 1 action point or 1 command point, and then it will go to the other player. So say you're in a certain position that you can't, you don't want to move because you're going to end up taking some hits or something, and you want the other person to move to force them. You can do a stall, or you can pass, which means that you can take no actions and pass. A pass costs no AP or CAP, but if he has an activated unit, it is marked as spent, and we'll show you what that means as we bring the board over. And we only got a piece of the board. There are so many wonderful boards in this, and they just do so much. Now, also in the game, you can use one of these cards. Some scenarios that let you have a couple of cards, and these cards will give you abilities that, like take 1 free action of any cost with any unit. So that means you wouldn't use any points. So that'd be good to throw down. And these cards kind of give an unknown factor to the game because you just don't know what the other player is playing. So it adds a lot to the game. So as you can see, here we are at the board. And the German has 7 activation points. Let's take a look at the unit itself and make sure that we understand what everything does. Now, an AP or an action point to use this would cost 3. So if you wanted to fire, it would cost you 3 action points. So say that this particular unit was right here and this unit was here, it would cost 3 points to fire. Now, when he declared his fire, he would have to look at which number would hit. Now, for a soft target firepower, he would get +4 on a 2d6, which he would roll. So, if this person's defense, which if we take a look at the defense, this particular unit, its front defense is a 12. Its rear or flank defense is an 11. So what would happen is we would take the 4 minus it, since everything is front facing here, by this you could tell it's front facing, so anything from behind, whereas we do right here, as I will show you, the first 3 hexes here are considered front facing, The rear 3 are a rear shot. So let's just say for all intents and purposes that our units are like this, and he wants to fire into there. He would take his 4 and subtract it from the 12, which would give him 8. Then roll on 2d6, and he would have needed an 8, but he rolled a 5, so that would have been a complete miss. But let's say that he rolled an 8. That means it would be a hit. And in that case, you would draw a chit out of this bag. Now you can only take 2 hits, each unit can only take 2 hits, but some of these chits in here do different things. One of them just says destroyed. Another one, as you can see here, is pinned. And to recover that, you would have to roll on your turn using 5 action points, a 7 or better. So this chit would go underneath here, making you understand that it's already taken 1 hit. If it were to take another hit, it would be removed from the board. Now there's other types of chits in here that can cause all kinds of bedlam with your particular unit, such as this one is suppression, which would add 1 to the cost, as you can see, and then also it would minus off your attack number. So instead of being able to attack with 3 firepower, and below this is attacking armor targets, as you can see you get no modifier, it would actually be a -2. This would only be a +1. And of course your cost would be +1 for suppression. So there's all kinds of different types of chits in here that can help or actually hurt you immensely. Now you only get to move once, and that's what the AP cost here is. To move 1 square, any unit can only move 1 square, but it only costs 1 on this particular unit. There are other units that it would actually cost higher. Like we were talking about here, to fire it would cost 3, but to 1 it only costs 1. Now, once you've completed and used up all your actions, you turn over the counter to show that that counter is used, and then you would move on to another unit. So say you had another unit somewhere close, you would start working your way down. Now after he fired, okay, and used his 3 points and missed, it would then be the other unit's turn, who in hand would have, of course, 7 points, and he would be able to fire back. He would have 3 against his 12, and again would try to roll, and well, 3 and 7 does not make 12, so it would be a complete miss. You would mark off the thing, and then it would go back to the other person's turn, in which maybe he would just move for 1 AP, and then he couldn't do anything, but then this person would be their turn and they would get to do attacks. So you would have to plan out your movement, but you do all your movement with this unit, your movement and firing, and once you get down to 0, then you can go over. You don't have to use all these points. You could just say, okay, that's all I want to do with this particular unit, and then flip them over and say that particular unit is done, pick another unit and charge it up to 7 points. So that is primarily how Conflict of Heroes works. And as you can see, it flows very nice. Nice big chits really work out well. They're nice, and they're absolutely nice and thick and nice looking. And it's some of the best chits in a game that you can get. And this game has really been designed very, very well, and it is just a fantastic game. We're not going to go over all the rules, but I think you got a gist of just how things work. There's other things such as opportunity fire. We didn't even show how vehicles work. Vehicles work on the same principle, but of course they're a lot heavier and do a lot of things. And we didn't talk about all the effects that would, if you were in forest, or if this particular one, you would get certain pluses for being in forests, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of little nuances, but very easy to learn, all on these wonderful charts that come with the game, and really just everything's spelled out for you nice and easily, very easy to learn and look at rule book, and of course a number of scenarios. I believe it comes with 16 scenarios to begin with, and I believe there's some more online, and very detailed, tons of maps as you can see, and a breakdown for all the units that you would use in each scenario. And of course, we haven't even covered that, but we'll do a review on some of the boxes so you can play solo and also generate your own scenarios, which is just excellent. So that's it. Let's send it up top and get the final thoughts on Conflict of Heroes. Conflict of Heroes, Awakening the Bear. The entire series, first of all, is one of my favorites. The simplicity, the time it takes to teach somebody this is very easy. This is a great game to get somebody younger in, to learn some history, to learn mechanics of wargaming. Just a fantastic game. This is one of the few games that I give 10 out of 10. I really love this game. This is one of my favorites. The traditionalists don't like it because of the simplicity and some of the pulling the chits and so forth and so on, you know, and but I really think that this is something that is a great bridge, a gateway game more or less, as they call it. If you can get your hands on this, I suggest it highly. So that's it from this week's War and Pieces. I'm Rob Warren, and we'll see you soon.